Hi, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Megan.
Welcome to the Grimdark Diaries.
We're your geek gal pals obsessed with true crime and all things dark and disturbing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Megan, I feel like your voice gets higher every time you say your name in the intro.
I try to keep it at a certain level so that I don't get into the laughing fits. Remember when we first started doing this podcast?
Oh, we couldn't say our own names?
No, absolutely not. We would break out into laughing fits for probably a good 5-10 minutes before we could even get the intro done.
I know.
So now I'm like, Megan, how do I say my name? Why does it sound
You use
so
your
weird
customer
to say
service
my name?
voice.
Yeah, yes.
I feel like we say it every time, though, so that I find it's a good way to sync up our audio.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we sync it up anyway, but
Yeah,
we're also not good at that. But our intro is a really good way to make sure it lines up.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's fine. I don't mind doing it now. When we first started, though, it was a struggle to get past. Like, always struggling to get past the intro part of this episode. Yeah, so I'm just trying to say it in a way that doesn't sound awful or funny or I don't know. I struggle speaking. Great.
Well, it's been 1 week since I spoke about my ukulele.
Oh my gosh, yes it has.
Things are going great. I learned another song.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I can't play it very well yet because it has a lot of chords and some of them are real tricky. Mm-hmm. But again, I want to run before I walk, so I'm going for it.
Are you playing right now?
Like at this very second?
Oh, I thought you were going to pull out your ukulele.
Absolutely not. No, you don't want to see the speed at which I play because I'll tell you right now, it's half speed.
I thought you were going to get us all ready for a
God,
song.
no.
I'm so disappointed.
No, I can stay at a pretty good speed until I hit a G chord because you got to make this little triangle with your hands and it just slows me down. So I have to like pause for a second and then move my hand there and then continue. And every song has G chords. So
True.
Learning, always learning.
You just have to go back and forth with transitions. I think you need to get used to the transitions before you
That's why I'm learning songs.
Yeah.
Because I practice all the chords and I was like, sweet, I can do all of the chords. And then I tried to learn a song and I was like, oh, I can't do them all together though.
Yeah, that part's something else you have to learn.
Yeah, so right now I'm learning Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley.
Oh my god.
Because that was our first dance song at our wedding.
Oh, was it actually? Oh.
It sure was. You would know if you attended. There's 2 episodes in a row I'm calling you out.
I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? I'm literally going to pay for this for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, just because it's funny.
Yes, hilarious.
I don't really have much I can lord over you, but you ghosting me at my wedding is one of them.
It's a pretty big one, yeah. I'll take that. I'll take the heat for that one.
Someday when you get married and you send me the wedding invite, I'm going to be like, maybe. I'm going to wait until the very last day that I'm allowed to RSVP. Yeah.
I will still put a spot for you anyway. It'll just be empty if you don't actually come.
My mom is coming to visit me next weekend.
Is she? Yay.
Yeah, she's going to bring me some plants to put in my fairy garden.
I literally knew that immediately as soon as you said she was coming to visit. She was going to bring you plants. Are they more like
gonna help me.
Pink colored plants?
She's going to bring me all kinds of colors.
Ooh.
She doesn't favor one color like I do. So she's going to bring me all kinds. And we have matching pastel tie-dye overalls.
You and your mom?
So we're going to work in the garden. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, mom bought them and then I love them. So then she bought me a matching pair.
Oh
so
my God.
Because overalls are really good to work in the garden because you're not always pulling up your pants.
Yes,
you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they got pockets so you can put all your tools in it.
I can't even with this. This is so adorable.
Me and my mom are going to put on our pastel overalls.
I need to see. I absolutely need to see pictures.
Yeah, except I'm awful at gardening, so I'll probably sit there and play my ukulele
Yeah.
while she plants.
Why don't you learn from your mother?
I'm going to. She gave me, when I was home in May, I was helping her outside, and she was like, you want some yarrow root? And I was like, yes. So then she took a shovel and she dug up this hunk of her lawn and she put it in a container and she's like, take this home and plant it. So then I had to take it home and plant it.
What?
And I did that on my own.
Wait, what?
There was a plant that grew wild in her yard, which is like a sought after plant.
Okay.
And she was like, you want some of this? And I was like, I do. So to get it to my house, she had to just dig up a whole chunk of her lawn and give it to me.
You failed to mention that it was a plant. And when you said she just dug up the lawn, I just assumed that she called her lawn yarrow root. It was just a piece of her lawn that you were taking home. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Absolutely. A little slice of home.
That's
how what everyone does, right?
About plants. I've kept 2 plants alive. You'll be very proud. My mom got me 2 plants. Actually, I bought myself this one, but my mom gave me a hanging plant.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. And I have kept them alive since Mother's Day.
Good job.
Thank you. It's been like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks now. When was Mother's Day? No, it was about a month ago.
Yeah, it's a month ago because it's the first weekend in May.
Yeah, and actually I got the other plant that I have here, I got that before Mother's Day, so it's probably been about a month and a half now.
Look at you keeping things alive.
I know. For the amount of no light I get in my apartment. I'm still looking at trying to get a big mirror for my wall so that I can bounce the light inside so I can get some more sunlight for these poor little guys.
I bought a new plant last week. I wanted a really big hanging plant. So IKEA had ones for a really good price. So I got one and it was like this huge hanging plant.
Ooh.
And it was very reasonably priced. And I got it home and they had it kind of wrapped in like a plastic bag. And then I got it home and I unwrapped it and the pot it came in was cracked.
No.
And so I worked too much and I didn't have time to go get a new plant. So it just lived in like a cracked open pot on a paper pie plate in my entryway.
Oh no.
For a week until I got her a new plot. And then I repotted her and now she's living her best life.
Thriving, I'm sure.
Thriving. I mean, trying.
Trying to thrive.
I got a lot of plants going on right now.
Oh, that's my dream. I would love to just live in a place with all the plants, all the places. I just wish I could keep them alive for longer.
Yes.
You're doing a great job.
Hey, thanks. I've been trying.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
We had D&D on Sunday. Megan could not attend, but we went to somebody in our party. Her name is Jenny, and she's fabulous, and she has a beautiful apartment. And Megan, there was plants everywhere. She had trees. She had entire trees in this apartment.
I believe that. She's posted some pictures sometimes of like her
they were
living room
gorgeous.
area with all the plants surrounding everything. Literally,
they're everywhere.
Anywhere
and
there's a plant that could find somewhere, there was plants everywhere. Yeah, I've never been there, but she's posted some pictures from there before, and I just love the look of it so much.
Oh, it felt wonderful being in there, and it's so bright. It has windows all on one side, and it all overlooks the water, and it's gorgeous, and it was sunny, and so bright, and just plants and trees everywhere. I was like, oh, I love this. I could stay here.
Yes, she is. Yeah, we love Jenny. She is amazing, and she probably gets all of her fabulous energy from all of those plants in her apartment. She just gets a bundle of energy. I just love her. Oh, man.
Well, are we ready for some crime?
Give it to me.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that kind of day. Give me the crime.
My theme was poet, and I didn't know it.
Yeah, you did.
Boy, did I find a poet for you,
really?
Megan.
Okay.
Oh, baby.
Oh, God. You know it's going to be a really good episode when Nikki starts it that way. I cannot wait to get into it.
So for this case, I got all of my information from a really amazing article written by Corey Mead. So if you want the full version, definitely search him up. If you just search the person's name in this and Corey Mead, you'll see it. It's one of the first search results. And he did a really amazing job writing it. And I assumed it was a he. I don't know that. They did a very amazing job writing it. So obviously I had to make an abridged, shorter version because otherwise we'd be here for a month going over all of his amazing, all of their amazing details. Our story takes place in Wichita, Kansas in June 1977. Ruth Finley was a 47-year-old mother of 2 grown sons. It was late on a humid night, and she was at home trying to keep her mind busy because her husband, Ed, was in the hospital. Earlier in the day, he had collapsed while working in their backyard, and they were all worried he had a heart attack. So they wanted him to stay in the hospital for observation. Mm-hmm. With him having to stay in the hospital, Ruth was just at home alone and very, very worried. She felt uneasy about being home alone at night, but she tried to just shake it off. She tried putting on the radio to calm her mind and keep her busy, but most channels were filled with news about the BTK strangler.
Oh.
If anyone is unfamiliar with who BTK is, he is a very well-known serial killer, and it stood for bind, torture, kill. He also named himself, so I don't like using that name.
No.
Even though that's the only way to refer to him, but he chose that name himself, and I don't like when they get to choose their name. They should give him something stupid as a name.
Agreed.
So he was very, very well-known serial killer. He had been stalking Wichita residents, and he ended up killing 7 people. So that was ongoing. They still hadn't caught him at this point. So that was kind of ongoing, and it was on every radio station.
That was in Kansas, the BTK killer? Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So not really the kind of calming, easy listening you need when you're trying to chill out and keep your mind busy.
Wow, unless you're us.
Unless you're us, and then you listen to true crime.
All the time, every day.
Her home telephone then started ringing, and it startled Ruth because she wasn't expecting a call. Mm-hmm. It was late at night, so she worried a phone call at this hour was bad news from the hospital. So she picked it up and said, "Hello?" It wasn't hospital staff on the other end, though. An unfamiliar male voice said, "Is this Ruth Smock from Fort Kansas? No, from Fort Scott, Kansas?" The question threw her off because Smock was Ruth's maiden name, so now she was Ruth Finley. And she hadn't lived in Fort Scott for decades. She confirmed back to the caller, "Yes, it is." The caller then says in a low, ominous tone, "I know all about that night." Ruth didn't need to ask the man which night he meant.
Is this like a I know what you did last summer sort of thing?
What's your favorite scary movie?
That is the vibes I'm getting from this story right now.
Over 30 years ago it's supposed to be Fort Scott, and I wrote Fort Scoot.
I love that.
In Fort Scott, Ruth was a teenager and had just returned to her rooming house from buying groceries. As she stepped inside, she heard the screen door open behind her, and then she was suddenly grabbed from behind.
Yikes.
The intruder was a tall man that looked to be in his 50s, wearing dirty bib overalls. As he pulled her back, he began tearing at her clothes. Ruth struggled to fight him off and ended up shoving her thumbs into his eyes. This made him so angry that he yelled, "I'll fix you so no one will ever look at you again." He then forced a rag soaked in chloroform over Ruth's mouth, and she began to drift into unconsciousness.
Oh my God. She was a teenager?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's scary. Holy crap.
It gets worse.
Oh God. I thought we were done.
No.
Oh man. Wishful thinking.
Her last memories before she passed out was the man heating a flat iron on the stove So not like a hair flat iron.
Okay. Like what? Do you mean like a clothes iron?
Yeah, like a clothes iron.
Yeah. He was heating one up on the... Oh.
Because the metal ones that you had to heat up on the stove.
What? I guess back then they didn't have electric ones?
They had electricity.
I didn't mean electricity. I mean electric irons.
Oh.
I
mean, it could also be a cost-related thing.
I guess. I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of an iron needing to be heaten up by the...
You've never seen that before? Just the metal ones?
No.
That's what they did back in the times pre...
I don't use an iron now. I don't know
that
anything
explains
about
a lot.
irons. Yeah. Hey!
I'm just joking.
My clothes are not wrinkly.
So her last memory before passing out was him heating a flat iron on the stove. When she woke up, she had first-degree burns on both of her thighs, and she had scratches all over her face, arms, and legs that were dripping with blood.
Oh my God.
So when this caller said he knew all about that night, only one night had haunted her for her whole life. Her fears were confirmed when the man started reading the news article posted in the Fort Scott Tribune on October 15th, 1946. He started. Branded on both thighs by a hot flat iron, apparently by a sex maniac, Ruth Smock, 16-year-old Fort Scott High School girl,
they named
was resting today.
Jeez.
What?
Sorry. I was shocked that they named her.
I mean, it was 1946. I don't think that's cared
true.
That much.
Fair.
16-year-old Fort Scott High School girl was resting today at the home of her parents following an attack upon her early last night. The man then asked her if she still wore her brand. Ruth tried to lie and said she didn't know what he was talking about. The man said he actually worked for a construction company, and while they were tearing down houses in Fort Scott, he'd found old newspapers in the walls with articles about Ruth. The caller then told her that if she didn't give him money, he'd spread the news about her attack.
It was in the news. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, it was in the news in a different town in 1946. And would you want that following you around?
I'm going to give somebody money so it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care.
Well, it depends on how much do you want the current town you're living in to know that you were attacked by a sex maniac and he burnt a brand into both of your thighs when you were a teenager.
I'm not going to be blackmailed or bribed for... I guess I don't know. It's never happened to me, so I can't say for sure one way or the
That's
other.
Good.
But in my mind, in my head, the way that I am right now as this person, I wouldn't care.
The man said he even knew where she worked, which is terrifying.
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
Right. And think about it. If he had her phone number, he would have had to look her up and find her.
True. Although I think everybody was pretty much listed in the phone book back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Phone book. And back then, if you didn't unlist yourself, your address was in there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ruth didn't know what to do, so she just hung up the phone and then went right to sleep, trying to just forget what happened and pretend like it didn't happen.
That is really scary that somebody would... Like having that phone call and having somebody tell you those things that they found about you and now trying to blackmail you and like, yeah, absolutely terrifying for sure.
Her husband, Ed, had to stay in the hospital for another week. He was okay, but it turned out he didn't have a heart attack, but he had a car accident the year before and it was some kind of weird after effect from that. So they had to just keep him for a week.
Okay.
Every night that Ruth had to spend home alone, she was afraid the man would call back.
What timing too? Like the timing of her husband not being home for a week and this
right
guy,
when you're
like,
already on edge.
Right? Yeah. No, that's terrifying.
Luckily, he didn't call back. And after the week, Ed returned home. So she kind of just put it behind her and put the threats behind her. And, you know, figured that that was kind of the end of it. Later that summer, Ruth was at work at the Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, and she received an envelope. It had her name on the front in messy handwriting. She opened the envelope, and a yellowed newspaper clipping fell from it. She picked it up, and it was the original article about her and her attack. She panicked and tore it up and just threw it in the garbage. Again, just trying to pretend like it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
After this, the phone calls started. The same unknown male caller would phone their house at night. She would hang up as soon as he would say her name. If Ed answered, the man would just hang up. So Ed had no idea that this was happening, because to him, he'd be like, oh, phones are in.
Right.
Pick it up. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
And she didn't tell him.
Oh, why wouldn't she tell him? That's your first mistake.
Both Ruth and Ed wanted a normal, quiet life.
Oh.
They wanted nothing more than for their neighbors to see them as responsible, ordinary people. They had both grown up in poverty, and their families struggled to survive during the Great Depression. Both had harsh parents that valued discipline, and they were both taught to repress emotions, and crying or showing anything like that was absolutely forbidden.
That generational prideful thing that they did back then was just so harmful to people's mental health. Like, I can't even imagine
awful.
having to live that way.
Yeah. They also were taught to never, ever call attention to themselves. So that I guess that kind of explains why Ruth didn't want to bring it up. She just wanted
Absolutely
to
fair. Yeah.
sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. That makes sense for that time for sure. Yeah.
So flash forward to August of 1977. Ruth was in downtown Wichita doing some window shopping. As she was walking along, a man appeared from a crowded crosswalk and started walking beside her. She worked downtown, and she was used to lots of people walking along the streets there. Mm-hmm. So she didn't even really notice at first that this man was keeping in perfect stride with her. Mm-hmm. But then the man spoke to her and said, "You've done such a good job working this week. You can take the weekend off."
What the? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Creepy.
This startled her, obviously.
Yeah.
And she looked over at him, making sure to memorize as many details about the man as she could.
Good for her.
Yeah. He was about 5'9" with a very thin build. He had black hair that was graying at the temples, and he appeared to be in his late 40s. She didn't answer him, so then he said, "You work for the telephone company, don't you?" Which she does. Mm-hmm. But she ignored him, and he came back again with, "What do you do there? Are you an operator?" When Ruth didn't answer, the man told her he'd recently won some money in Las Vegas, and he'd asked her if she'd like to go to Vegas sometime. Ruth just kept walking, ignoring him, and he said, "The camera reflects the true quality of one's soul."
What?
She then let him know she was waiting for her husband. He asked her if she was still married, and Ruth ignored him again. Then what he said next had a completely different tone. So it wasn't the same kind of conversational tone that he'd been carrying. He said, "I like your face. I'll see you again. You can count on that. Some people's fantasies are other people's nightmares."
Oh my God. Oh, that just gave me goosebumps.
Right?
That's horrifying. If somebody said that to you that you didn't know, oh my gosh. Especially after everything she's been experiencing up to this point.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so horrifying.
It wasn't until that statement that Ruth started to get really freaked out. She now worried that this was the man that had been calling her. When Ed showed up to meet her, Ruth told him that a creepy guy followed her, and Ed kind of brushed it off and that said, oh, he was probably just trying to pick somebody up and thought you were pretty.
Right.
But keep in mind, she didn't tell Ed about the phone calls and that letter she got to her office. So to him, this was, didn't sound that bad.
Right.
After that day, Ruth didn't see that man again downtown. So she just kind of resigned to the fact that Ed was probably right. He was probably just, creepy guy looking for a date.
Really? Whatever settles your heart and helps you sleep at night, I guess.
Yeah.
Like ignoring all of the evidence.
But then a year later, in June of a year.
Whoa.
Yeah. That was August 77. Now we're in June of 78. She was in the same downtown area shopping. Yeah. And as she walked past an alleyway between stores, someone reached out from the shadows and grabbed her wrist. She turned to see it was the same man from the year before.
No way.
Yeah.
Holy trauma. Like, oh my gosh. I can't even imagine what that, like, what kind of thoughts would go through your head after having that happen.
Oh my goodness, no.
Especially after what happened to her as a child. Like, holy.
She struggled with him, and she was able to actually pull her arm free, and she took off running across the street to a Macy's.
This was really, like, right in public.
Yeah.
The audacity.
Yeah, he was like tucked in an alleyway, and he reached out when she went by and like pulled her in.
Oh, that's so creepy. Always walk far away from the alleyways, like on the opposite side of the street. Not the opposite side of the sidewalk. Like as close to the road as you can get without going onto the road.
As she ran across the street to the Macy's department store, the man yelled, "Ruth, get back here, you stupid bitch, and talk to me." She obviously did not stop or look back. She kept going. And inside the Macy's, she called Ed to come pick her up right now. When he showed up, Ruth told him about what happened, and then she also told him about the phone calls and the letter.
Oh, finally.
Yeah.
A year later.
Right?
Oh, God.
Like any good partner, Ed was super worried once she told him everything. So he went to the police station right away and filed a report.
Good. Should have did that a year ago.
The police did absolutely nothing.
Oh, big surprise there.
Nada. Zip.
Oh my God. The system is so broken.
Yeah.
It's not preventative. It's,
reactionary.
Reactionary, absolutely. Yeah, it's horrible.
That October, Ruth received an envelope in the mail with unfamiliar writing. Inside was a single sheet of paper that said, "Fuck you, fuck the police, fuck the telephone company." It then threatened for her to give money or Ruth would be hurt.
Okay, well, that's a good reason to give money. Don't hurt
Ed
her.
insisted that they go back to the police and try again to get their help with this. On November 6th, they went to the Wichita Police Department headquarters where they were finally directed to the Criminal Investigation Division. There, they met 34-year veteran Lieutenant Bernie Drowatsky. Normally, Drowatsky's division would not handle a case like Ruth's, but the BTK Strangler, now 3 years into his reign of terror over Wichita, was also sending threatening letters, so the police wanted to make sure that they investigated this for any possible links to see if perhaps he was behind it.
Okay, that's good. Not good, not the situation, but the circumstances that might have got them a little bit more help. That's good.
Ruth gave Drowatsky all of the details of the calls, the letters, and the 2 times the man confronted her on the street. At this time, the lieutenant's caseload was stacked with more violent and urgent crimes on top of dozens of BTK tips that they received every week that he had to go look into. Mm-hmm. So he didn't really have time to look into what, honestly, to him just seemed like a minor case compared to everything. Mm-hmm. The next week, another letter showed up in her mailbox. This one demanded Ruth pay $100. It was riddled with spelling mistakes. Like, I read it. It was a lot.
Really?
Like, every third word was spelled wrong.
So a very uneducated person got it.
Yeah. So here is an excerpt from it. I will read what it is supposed to say, but I'm telling you right now, half the words are not spelled right, or they are missing letters.
Oh, great.
So it said, I can tell if anybody is watching me. Don't be a dumb bitch again and blow this. I will try to be your friend. But when you are a dumb bitch, I don't like you. This time you talk to me when I call you soon.
Whoa.
The letter then finished with a poem.
Oh, there it is.
It read, wherever you go on water or land, you still got to pay, or I tell about your brand. I am smart and know things to do. You talk to people I despise, like police lieutenant and telespies. It's a real stretch for a rhyme at the end there. He started out kind of strong.
Sort of, yeah.
I mean, as strong as one.
Yeah, we didn't say
his
it had
writing
to be
tenacity can get.
Good poet.
No, that was not my category, Megan.
No, it wasn't. You're right. Absolutely. I don't know what I was expecting.
Ruth brought the letter into the police headquarters and it was sent off to the laboratory for fingerprinting. More and more letters showed up and they would always bring them in. Over time, they started to become more indecipherable. And they were always a mess of misspellings and abbreviated words. They also started using very uncommon big words like Constantaneous, prolegomonus, and
I don't even know what that word is.
rhodomontade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking this guy got a word-a-day calendar. And he's like, I'll be damned if I don't use these damn words every day.
You're probably not wrong. From the sounds of it. That's so funny.
The letters also contained a lot of made-up words, too, which then kind of throws my word-of-the-day calendar theory out the window. But
right.
He liked to make up words for some reason. I don't know why, because if you made up a word, then nobody's going to understand what your letter says.
True.
If you're trying to get a point across, it's not very effective to use words that don't exist.
Unless you also include the legend of what each of the words mean.
Ruth was diligent in bringing the letters into the police headquarters when she received them. As they got harder to understand, Ruth began typing up clean copies of the letters to bring to Drowatsky to make it easier for him to decode. So, like, homegirl is putting in some work.
Seriously, she means business on this one.
Yeah.
Good for her.
One thing that was especially gross in the letters is that the writer very often talked about wanting to see Ruth's brands from her teenage attack and would talk about how fascinating they found the burns on her legs. While the Finleys are receiving all of these letters, the phone calls were also coming in hot and heavy. But then, all of a sudden, the calls just stopped one day. Ed and Ruth started to feel hopeful that maybe the stalker had just moved on. They didn't send any money or anything, so they were hoping that maybe the torment was over. And that's the end of the story. Okay. They lived happily ever after. I hope you enjoyed the poem.
Good story, Nikki. This one really had me on the edge of my seat. I'm glad it ended so happily.
Yeah, they were never ever bothered again. It was
wonderful. Great. Okay, but we live in the real world where Nikki's stories always get worse.
I'm not unconvinced that we live in a simulation, so.
Well, that I guess is debatable. We are in the Matrix.
My husband told me that he read a thing that said the closer we get to inventing, I don't know how he worded it. I think it was like the closer we get to inventing technology that could make somebody think they're in a simulation, the probability increases that we actually are in a simulation.
Well, shit.
So right now the chances that we're in a simulation are higher than we're not in a simulation.
I mean, virtual reality is pretty wild if you've ever been in there.
Yeah, I heard that in like the 2040s, they will have VR so realistic that it will be hard to tell the difference between when you're in VR and when you're not.
I need that for motion sick purposes only. Because I can't do VR right now. Not well, anyway. Without getting sick.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to play a game. It depends on what kind of game it is, I guess. If you put me in the Star Wars world, I'd love that. You put me in something kind of scary or where things are flying at me, less so. That's too scary because it's too real.
I would love that, I think. I would hate it, but I would love it at the same time. Like, it would give me a thrill that I would enjoy. Because I have to be, when I'm scared, I have to be in a safe environment. Hello? Are you okay?
I just punched, man, I'm jumping all over the place tonight. I just punched my mic stand.
First a Charlie horse and then a punch to the mic, and I have noises all over my apartment, so I am so sorry if you guys hear that in the background while I'm talking, because there's just so much happening tonight and I don't know why. It's like my neighbor upstairs is like banging on something. My neighbors down the hall are like running up and down the hallway. I hear doors opening and closing all the time. It's just like a happening place tonight for some reason.
There's also a lot of noise on my end because it started raining. And I don't know what it is outside, but when it rains outside my office, it sounds like somebody is beating a teeny tiny drum.
I'm not sure how you were going to end that. Oh, boy. Well, you'll have some nice like background ambiance music.
Yeah. If it sounds like I'm about to enter Jumanji, it's just the rain.
That's what you think until I start seeing all the elephants run through your room.
Yeah, if you hear animal noises, then you know I'm in Jumanji.
Yeah, that's right.
God, that's a good movie.
I love it so much. Original or new one?
There's a new one?
You didn't know there was a new one? It's got The Rock in it and...
Oh, that was awful.
Wait, is it The Rock? No, wait.
Yeah, it is. It's The Rock and Karen Gillian.
Tenacious D or Jack Black.
Jack Black, yeah, and Kevin Hart.
Yeah, I liked it. Did you not like it?
I hated it.
Really?
It was awful.
No, see, I love them, so
no, it was stupid.
It was
I like
stupid,
a lot of those
but
actors,
I liked
but the movie concept was stupid.
I thought it was a good. It's one of those good like brainless movies. Like I'll probably never watch it again, but it was really good to watch the first time when I saw it.
No, that was an hour.
The original one I will watch forever, though. Like Robin Williams for life.
Yes.
I love Robin Williams.
So our story doesn't end there. That was a psych.
Shocker.
On November 21st, 1978, Ruth decided to spend her lunch break running errands downtown. It was a cold, wet day, and the air was very misty, which I hate that weather.
Oh,
where the air
kind
is
of that
just...
weather today, to be honest with you.
Really?
Have you been outside today? Okay.
No.
On my way home, I had to walk along. I had to walk along this beautiful waterfront that we have. But it started to get curse. Like it was like just starting to rain, so it was like very lightly drizzling, like not enough that I had to put my hood up, but it was just enough that I could feel a raindrop every now and again. But it then started getting like really misty and really humid.
Oh,
and
I hate that. Because you don't have your hood up, it gets in there.
Exactly. And like I felt like I was just sweating constantly and I couldn't breathe. My skin couldn't breathe through my coat.
Oh my God.
I know. It was like the worst
was it
kind
acid
of
rain?
No, I just mean how suffocating it gets. Like when it gets
it's very humid here.
Very much so. It's very, very difficult to like for your skin to breathe because it's so warm. It was like 22 degrees out, but it was like
oh wow,
humid and wet and it was an awful walk. It was beautiful.
I have
but it was
literally
awful.
been in my basement office all day, and it's pretty cold down here.
You're just rubbing it all morning.
I mean, it's kind of sad. I've just been sitting at this desk all day, and my back hurts.
Oh, I want to cry you a river, but at the same time.
It has its pluses. I worked in my sweatpants and I didn't have to put gas in my car. So
that's the thing. I had to fill my tank last week and it cost me, and I still had when I filled it up, I had 100 kilometers left on the tank. And I don't know what that is in miles. I'm so sorry. I didn't do my research before I wanted to tell this story.
It's 60.
60 miles is 100 kilometers?
Yeah, because that movie Gone in 60 Seconds, when like in American movies you hear them go from 0 to 60.
Is that
0
to 100? Is it actually?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
So that's the only conversion I know is that 60 miles is 100 kilometers.
Then
and I only know it from the movie Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh my God. I love that movie. I don't know why I don't
And Fast and the
that.
Furious, actually.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. Well, then I had 60 miles or 100 kilometers left in my tank. And when I filled it up, and it cost me still $115 to fill my tank.
Jeebus.
So if it was empty, it probably would have been closer to $120 or $25.
Jeez. Yeah. My tank was like a 70 to fill, I think.
Frick,
or maybe
man.
almost 80.
Ugh. It's so much money. And like I'm back to work 5 days a week, and it takes me like, I don't know, anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes to get to work depending on traffic. So
Gross.
it is literally costing me like probably close to $300. It'll probably be close to $300 a month for gas, which is ridiculous.
Absurd.
It's insane. I used to budget $160 for gas. I know. Like, no, it's almost $300. It's almost doubled. It's just wild. Anyway. That's my rant for the day. Continue.
Okay, so the weather was misty.
Oh, right.
That's how we got there. So she was running these errands downtown on her lunch break. It was that dark, kind of cold, wet, misty day. She was crossing North Market Street after just leaving a greeting card store when all of a sudden a blue-green 1964 Chevy Bel Air screeched up to the curb and blocked her direct path.
Uh-oh. Oh my God.
She quickly tried to look for people around, but the only other person that was out was an elderly lady, and she was already really far up the street, so her back was to them.
Uh-oh.
Then, that same man that had confronted her before jumped out of the car and in front of Ruth, asking if she had his money. He then kicked her really hard in the shins.
What?
Yeah. And that caused her, because they were facing each other, so I don't know.
Why would you kick?
Does he sound like an intelligent
No,
man?
He doesn't. Absolutely not. He sounds like a whiny little bitch. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So he kicked her in the front of her legs, which caused her to kind of bend forward, like she folded over, just as like a reaction from being kicked.
Yeah.
So then the man grabbed her and pulled her into the car's back seat because he had left the door open, and he kind of threw her into the back seat, which was covered in junk, which is one of my worst nightmares.
Right.
I have a really weird thing about sitting on dirty surfaces.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Oh my God.
Yeah, I can't do it. I've been to friends' houses and I cannot sit on their furniture.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely understand that.
Yeah. And then I just stand up like a psycho.
It's a little icky. Psycho. Yep, I feel that.
So he then climbed in the car next to her and shut the door.
Wait, next to her? Oh.
Yes. So there's another man
driver?
driving the car.
Oh my God. What?
Yeah.
Hello? You had a getaway driver for this?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So this guy that she'd seen before was in the backseat with her. And then there was a man driving the car. And the other guy kept referring to him as Buddy. Buddy was drinking from a bottle wrapped in a paper bag. So hopefully it was just some juice.
Right. Okay, Nikki.
Right?
How is it in that bubble that you're living in right now?
It's great.
Yeah, I bet. Super happy.
It is. I enjoy it.
Beautiful sunny day inside there.
Yeah. Not rain causing a tiny little
Mini drum.
parade of drums outside my window.
Oh, now it's a parade of drums.
Well, it's a lot of little drums. Think how many raindrops there are. In my mind, I create. See, this is where I am in my life. That I just tell myself when it rains, those are little fays outside my window.
Oh, okay.
Doing
that's
little rain
cute.
dances.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cute. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Ruth tried to take in what she was seeing so she could attempt an escape, but the door handle on her side was broken off. She looked on the floor of the car and saw a gas can, pieces of concrete, chains, and rags. The car itself looked to be in bad shape. The rear left window was covered with plastic, and the dashboard was really torn up, like it looked like it was breaking, and it had white tape crisscrossed all over it, looking like it was kind of keeping it together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Clearly they needed the money.
Right? Jeez.
The attacker took Ruth's purse to rummage through it. He found cash and safe deposit key, and he told Buddy, "We've struck it rich."
So he actually legitimately was looking for money.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I thought
Seems
it was just
like that anyway.
I thought it was a cover for like the sick fantasy that he had.
I mean...
Okay, well, okay.
Let's go on.
Continue. Oh, I can't take it.
So he yelled, "Oh, we struck it rich," and he sounded pumped. But then he found Lieutenant Drowatsky's business card, and that's when his mood changed. He started yelling, "You damn stupid bitch." And then he picked up the chunk of concrete that was on the floor, and he slammed it into Ruth's head, knocking her down flat onto the seat.
Why? What? Why is there just random concrete? This is like the story we just told the other.
I was going to say your story had random concrete in it.
It absolutely did. Like, hello?
This is our new theme every week, coming at you with a concrete-based story.
slab.
Coming at you hot.
Oh my God. Why? Oh
I don't
my
know.
God. Okay. All right. Concrete. Got it.
She could tell the car was driving southwest, and the two men were talking about how they'd get rid of Ruth, which was just adding more fear fuel to the fire.
Absolutely.
Ruth remembered that she had hidden a can of mace in a pocket in her purse,
Ooh, good for her.
but she was too scared to reach for it now because he had taken the purse from her
Oh,
and then put it down, so she wasn't holding onto the
Right.
purse anymore.
right. And he probably wouldn't let her just grab it.
No. And by the time she grabbed it, she was worried about grabbing it, having to reach into the purse. He would take it from her before
Yeah.
she could get to the can.
Yeah.
Remembering that she was on her lunch break, so she was abducted in the afternoon.
That's wild.
Yeah.
This is
She
wild.
was
to me.
now stuck in the car with these men for hours, and then it turned into night. It got dark out. They had just been driving around the whole time. At one point, her abductor said, "Do you like beer? We'll get some beer and have a party. I'll be real nice to you."
Ugh, gross.
Finally, after 4 hours of aimless driving around, Ruth spoke up and said she had to go pee. The men just laughed at her at first. So Ruth made herself gag and said she'd throw up if they didn't let her go to the bathroom.
Good for this woman. Oh my gosh. Yes.
The abductor told Buddy to stop next to a small park near West 21st Street. Before they let her out of the car, they made her take off her shoes and her sweater in the hopes that that would stop her from running away.
Okay.
It was cold out.
I guess running would warm you up, though. Sorry. Also, trying
life
to
lessons
save
with
yourself.
Megan.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're ever cold and are told to take off your clothes to go pee, then just run because you'll warm up faster that way.
Right? Mm-hmm. She was able to grab her purse with her when she was getting out of the car. So the man was leading, it was her abductor, the same guy, he was leading her down into the park and said, "This is going to be fun. I'll watch you and you'll watch me. Don't that sound like fun?"
Gross.
As they were walking, Ruth was reaching into her purse to get the can of mace. They eventually reached a little lake, and the man let go of Ruth and he started unzipping his fly. So Ruth whipped out the mace and sprayed the heck out of his face.
Nice. Good for her.
Right?
Awesome.
He then collapsed on the ground, and Ruth took off running into the park until she found a large bush, and she just crouched down and hid behind it. She wanted to first just listen to see if he was actually following her. Mm-hmm. She then heard him yell, "You'll freeze if we leave you here. Come get your shoes and your coat. We won't bother you anymore."
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hope she also thought that was bullshit.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. She sounds
her
actually
feet
smart.
were... What?
I said she sounds actually smart.
Yeah. Her feet were legit going numb from the cold and the cold ground.
Yeah.
But she was too scared to come out from behind the bush, so she stayed crouched down for a long time into the night. Once she reached the point that she couldn't stand the cold anymore, she came out to check if the car was still there, and she kind of found like a higher vantage point in the park to check. So she went up there and she didn't see it. It looked like it was gone. It wasn't in the same spot, and she couldn't see it anywhere in the park. So she ended up running to a liquor store across the street. She told the owner that someone was after her, so he immediately called the police, and then she asked him to call her husband too.
Good for her. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Ed had been freaking out at home because they abducted her on her lunch break, so when she didn't come back, she was reported as missing from work. The police came to pick up Ruth, and Ed met them at the headquarters.
Did her work know? Does it say anywhere that her work knew about this guy who was stalking her and calling her?
I don't think they did.
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's worrisome.
Ruth recounted what happened to Lieutenant Drowatsky and how they'd stolen her $315 paycheck and $100 savings bond. The detectives did notice that there was an overlap of key words between the letters that Ruth received and BTK's letters.
Oh?
So then they started to think that maybe Ruth was an intended victim of BTK.
Interesting.
Detectives went to the park the next day where they had taken her, and they were able to find Ruth's shoes and sweater. But there was no other clues. So they thought maybe they threw them out of the car.
Right.
So that they wouldn't have them with her in case they got pulled over.
Yeah, but they kept her purse.
No, because she had it.
Oh, she had it. Out. That's right. Yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
They also ran a check of every 1964 Chevy Bel Air in the city, but that didn't really bring up any good suspects. Like nothing really connected.
Right. Well, because it could have belonged to the guy that was actually driving too.
Yeah. Finally, though, they were taking this seriously, And for the next few weeks, detectives kept an eye on Ruth, and someone would watch her on her lunch breaks. Meanwhile, Detective George Anderson took Ruth and Ed the 155 miles east of Fort Scott for a 2-day investigation into Ruth's teenage assault, because they thought maybe they could find their suspect by looking into that, if they could find a connection there.
Well, it kind of doesn't sound related, though, especially if he just found the papers in the walls of a house he tore down.
Yeah,
like
I think they
It
were
didn't...
trying whatever they could since they didn't
fair.
have anything to go
no,
on.
it's good detective work for sure, but
Yeah.
To me, it didn't sound like it would lead anywhere, I guess. With all my detective experience that I have.
Yeah, and based on the description, she said that the guy that grabbed her in the 40s was in his 50s, and this guy's in his 40s, so
That's
it's
right,
clearly not the same guy, but
yeah, because it would have been
looking for some kind of connection.
30 some odd years later, so this guy would have been in his 80s or whatever, so of course it's just somebody else who wants to be like a copycat.
Yeah. Ruth went through all of the mugshots on file at the Fort Scott Police Department, and nothing really stood out to her. Mm-hmm. Later that month, Detective Anderson returned to Fort Scott for another 2-day visit, but neither trip really gave them any leads or, any clues to a possible identity of Ruth's tormentor. Mm-hmm. The next tactic the police went with was a choice. They wanted to flush out suspects, so Lieutenant Drowatsky appeared on a talk show sponsored by KEYN Radio.
I thought you were going to say like a Subway or...
No, I didn't know if that was an acronym or if you say the letters, but I feel like with radio stations, you say the letters. Like, KEYN Radio in the morning.
Right. Yeah. Oh, God, Nikki. You just brought back memories for someone, I'm sure. Yeah.
So the lieutenant went on there, and he basically just told the story of what Ruth was going through and encouraged people to call in, and Ruth was able to listen to all of the incoming calls, but none of the voices sounded familiar. None of them sounded like the guy. So that also was a bit of a dead end. In December of that year, Drowatsky received a letter from her attacker accusing the detective of protecting a whore from death.
A whore?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, sorry. Wow. Okay, sorry. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that word at all. I thought it meant horror,
that's what he wrote.
But then I'm
that was an exact
that doesn't
quote.
Make sense. Okay, got it. Okay.
At this point, Ruth was feeling physically not well. Headaches, stomach aches. She assumed it was all in her head because she was so stressed and she was constantly on high alert.
Oh my God. I can't imagine living with that kind of anxiety. Like, you'd be going crazy.
Right.
Like, and everybody
You'd never feel safe.
No, everybody that drove by your house, everybody who was walking down the street, like, you just constantly on alert. Like, I can't imagine living with that.
No.
It's so awful.
She tried to just ignore her physical symptoms because she was like, what am I going to do about it? At night, when she attempted to sleep, Ed would drag his 12-gauge shotgun into their backyard.
Aww.
And he would lie behind the bushes and wait for hours
to
see if the stalker was going to show up at their house.
Oh my gosh. What a husband. Like, wow.
Right.
Oh my God, my heart.
I love Ed. Ed proves throughout this whole case that he's just a rock solid husband.
It's like relationship goals right here.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Springtime came and the letters were piling up. Now they were mostly written in rhymes. So Ed started calling this stalker the poet.
Just the poet?
The poet.
Oh, okay.
Hey, but it's my theme.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, I understand why. I just, he doesn't deserve a cool name, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. The content in the letters was absolutely awful. There was a lot of excerpts from letters. And again, lots of spelling mistakes. Here is one excerpt, and it read, "The whore bore her guilt in her bed of slime, from selling her ass and not charging a dime. Slept with strangers in evil bed. Enraged demon hunters saw blood was red. All bitches should keep their names and faces secret."
Oh, that's yeah.
That was it.
Okay.
That literary masterpiece.
I mean, yes, we can make fun of it now, but I can't imagine like how horrifying it would be to read.
Oh, I'd be terrified if somebody
knowing
sent me
that this person, one, had already kidnapped you, and two, was still like had his sights on you and would continue to try to get you and get to you through these quote unquote poems.
Yeah.
It's horrifying. I can't even imagine the kind of like trauma and anxiety that she would be living with. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God. I would never sleep.
Awful. No, same.
By July 1979, the letters had all of a sudden stopped. Ruth and Ed started to feel normal again, and they thought that maybe the poet had actually just moved on.
Hello, that happened once already, and it did not end up being
and now
the case.
This is where the story ends. This is it. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, great. Oh, well, I just hit my mic. Listen, my mic is in a very precarious position in this bowl, so you need to...
Okay.
This cup. Don't make me so handsy. Talky. Wait, what? Nothing.
Talky, handsy?
Yeah. Carry on. I'm losing it.
So because the poet had stopped sending letters, the Finleys thought, maybe they were in the clear. They'd even planned a summer trip to a ranch in Colorado. Ruth decided she wanted a new pair of jeans for the trip, so on August 13th, she headed to the Dillard's department store after work. She told Ed, and he was nervous about her going alone, but she told him she'd be fine.
Well, I mean, you can't stop your life, but at the same time, I feel that she should just have somebody with her at all times, regardless. Like, friend, husband, children. I don't know. Did they have kids?
2 adult sons.
2 adult sons, right.
I don't believe they lived there based on... I didn't see mention of them ever, but she was in good terms with them. Like,
I'm sure she has friends.
So I would assume they moved away.
She definitely should have had somebody with her, for sure.
Yeah. When she came out of the store, it was dusk, and the mall parking lot was very empty. She rushed over to her car, and just as she was almost there, a man's voice yelled out, "Hey, Ruth, I didn't know you were going to make this so easy."
No!
She then turned around and saw the man that had kidnapped her the year before.
Stop. Oh my God.
I will stop because this is the end of part 1.
No! No, Nikki.
I'm just really killing these multi-parters lately.
Oh my God. The cliffhanger, though. I can't. Literally, this just feels like, I don't know. I know it's true, but the story itself just feels so much like a movie or a game or something like that I'm playing, and I'm so invested in this.
Wait, and you know how my stories go.
Well, they only get worse as they go, and if we're only halfway done and it's only an hour, like, come on, how much worse can this get? I don't even want to know. It gets pretty bad. Oh my God, no, don't tell me. No, I want to know though.
You gotta wait till next week.
And you're actually gonna make me wait. We're not recording.
Yeah, I sure am.
Damn it. No. So I will be like on the edge of my seat with all of you listeners. I am not okay.
Yeah,
we'll have a support group later.
Yeah.
We need a support group for these kinds of episodes. Damn it. Okay.
Well, so there's no rolling this week, so no dice roll for Megan, because next week will be part 2 of this case. Okay. Nobody Google ahead. Just hold your horses, because if you see spoilers,
we will tell you what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't look. Whatever you do, don't Google. ahead and just wait for part 2. It'll be worth it, I promise.
I have no doubt it will be. I never look up your next parts that sounds bad. I never look up the next parts of the stories that you're telling.
Megan's looking up my next parts.
No, I don't. No, I'm
Quit
not.
peeking at me next parts, eh?
Okay, what kind of accent was that?
I don't know.
It's like a mixture between Scottish and British. Maybe a
It's
little
Scottish.
of Australian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Wow. I don't know how you expect me to sleep tonight.
Well, good luck.
I've literally
don't
been
get any
fidgeting
phone calls
this whole time with this pen because like I'm so on the edge of my seat of how this
Really?
story is going. Yes, I'm so invested in the story.
Good. Well, next week we will find out what happens with Ruth. Does she survive? Does she not survive? It'll be a surprise.
Hopefully she survives.
We'll see.
Okay.
Dun dun dun. Well, there's no theme for next week because it'll just be part 2. So you're gonna miss out on our super awesome dice roll this week. But fear not, it will return next week and bigger and better than ever.
Does that mean I
turn
need
to
a
roll, so
bigger
she'll have
die?
to decide what makes it bigger and better.
Okay. All right. I have at least a week to think about it.
Yeah. If you would like to follow us on social media and check out pictures for this case, there will be some on the Instagram. You can just search The Grim Dark Diaries and you will find us. We're there. Check us out. Our Instagram is where all the action happens. I'm planning on being more active on the other things, and I'm thinking about doing stuff on that TikTok that Megan got the account for.
Yes.
I got some plans. I got some TikTok plans.
We didn't tell them that, remember? We didn't tell them yet. So
Spoilers.
we're on TikTok.
We're on TikTok, but there's no videos. So,
Right.
follow us, but
you can still
there's no
follow
content
us.
there.
Yeah, The Grim Dark Diaries.
Yep, search it. You'll find us.
That's right.
If you want to contact us, you can email us at thegrimdarkdiaries@gmail.com. And if you would be so kind as to leave us a review, leave us a review and a 5-star rating, especially if you have Apple Podcast. If you have Spotify, you can also give us a 5-star rating now, or you can follow us, and all of that helps us. It helps our podcast, and then more people can see it and listen to it, and then we can keep doing to this.
What are we doing to
I'm
this,
really
Nikki?
glad we're ending this episode now because my speech is just falling apart. I'm crumbling.
I'm watching it happen live as we talk.
Yeah, I am crumbling like a dry ass cookie. You
like
went from
cookie
yum to
yum, cookie yum, dry, crumbly. No.
No, but even as a kid, when you got those like shitty boxed cookies, like the Mr. Christie chocolate chip cookie, like the Chips Ahoy, those things were dry.
True,
but we ate them.
But I loved those, especially the rainbow.
Everybody
ones.
did.
Oh my god, I know.
Did you ever
it's
have
so
the
true.
chewy ones?
No, not the Mr. Christie ones. No.
Oh my god, Mr. Christie made chewy mini ones, so you could eat that bitch in like one bite.
Really?
Oh, I would get a box of those. They'd last 2 sittings. The whole box.
God.
I don't play around with my cookie eating.
Okay. I don't know. Do they sell those anymore?
I think so. They better, because they were a masterpiece of shitty baked goods.
I can't eat them anyway. Anyway, continue.
No, you definitely can't eat them, and I can't eat them. So
it's probably for the best anyway.
They're just memories of delicious cookies past.
That's right.
This is what happens when you let me do the outro. So that was it. Do all those things that I said and search things, but don't search the rest of this case. And tune in next week for part 2 of this epic adventure and to hear about other cookies that we enjoy eating, but we can no longer eat anymore. And remember, a friend in the dark beats alone in the light.